Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome to Flourish by Design TV. So delighted to have you here for our Tuesday chat as promised. And I hope you're all doing well and had a great week. And again, yeah, we're into autumn. I wear my autumny colors this week, and actually feeling a bit tired myself this week. I've been working really hard, and anyone who's on my Facebook page will see that I've been studying like that, say for the masters, and had a big paper due, and yeah, it took me about a week to get over handing that in. And I want to say thank you so much to all the cheerleaders who have been cheering me on. And I got distinction today, so I'm so happy about that, because it's just deepening my understanding of education and the innovation of education, where we're going and how I can improve the quality of education for so many others, and to create those safe spaces in the teaching environment, we'll say. I'm also so excited to always create a beautiful environment for you just to listen into this when you have some free time, whether it's live on YouTube or in Facebook or on the playback, because for some reason I just cannot get access into live streaming to Facebook at the moment. And I've tried and tried for the last couple of weeks, and I don't know why. I just can't. I've been onto them, and hasn't been resolved yet. So what I do is when I finish on YouTube, I download it and I share it back into Facebook for all my beautiful Facebook followers that I love so much and have created friends all around the world over the last number of years. And I look forward to these just chats on a Tuesday evening, which is amazing because it gives me energy actually. And funny about that, today I had a beautiful presentation from this first year students. If anyone doesn't know me, I'm the founder of Flourish by Design, and I'm also a design lecturer in Griffith College, where I teach first years design thinking and creative thinking and all the really building self-esteem and self-confidence. Today we had our first presentation, and it was on a project about who am I, which is an area that I deal with women as well, and this is why I create this channel to talk about that, our self-identity development, which is so fundamentally important for how we bud, blossom and flourish into our true selves. And tonight I am talking about that topic, around how committed am I how committed are you to your true self, the true you. And that was amazing today to see the students having delved into that and had the last 6 weeks to really look into who they are, and present it back to the group today, So amazing, because it does take that little bit of digging. And it's amazing to realize in ourselves that in society today, it's not designed around that, it's not designed around that self-inquiry. So, creating spaces and facilitations for people to look at that question is really the best thing that you can do to invest in for yourself or to facilitate for other people. Why? Because, it's entering into our core identity, the core identity that we have within our hearts. And that is what's really important, especially during these times. And it's funny how, at the very end of last week's podcast, I mentioned, I think I'm going to start talking about commitment, and I thought, wow, because when we say, especially when we're talking about women, and this is who I speak to here on this channel, about unfolding the true woman, and often as women, when we talk about commitment, what springs to mind straight away is our partner. Partner, being in a committed relationship with a partner. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But do we ever think about how committed are we to ourselves? How committed are we to ourselves, and what does that even mean? You know, what does that mean? It means being committed to the truth of who we are. You know, that seed that I talk about, that's planted within every single person's heart. And how committed are we to nurturing that and nourishing that within ourselves and creating a beautiful environment for that to flourish within into the world, you know? And if we were to really focus on that, to be very curious about what that is, we need commitment. Because we can think of something like, oh yeah, that sounds really nice and I'd like to try that, and I'd like to maybe find out what that is. But it does take commitment, you know? And I was thinking about, how can we truly be committed, to a partner in our lives if we haven't made that commitment to ourselves, to commit to unfolding who we truly are in the world. It's an interesting question, and it's a very deep question to ask ourselves, because if we look really deeply into that, we can think, well, if we're not committed to ourselves, and if we're not unfolding ourselves into our true identity and developing our true identity, how are we showing up in the world in an honest way? So if you think about that, if we're showing up in a way that's not true to you, then you're going to attract partners that aren't actually true to you, you know? And how honest is that being? Because you are looking at, I suppose time is the greatest, asset that we have. And are we spending that time with the right people? And are we invested in being true to ourselves, and then being truly feeling truly connected to another person because there is a resonance on the heart level, whether it's in a job or whether it's in a committed relationship. How committed can we be, even to the work situation, to relationships and work, and to our work environment? If we haven't committed truly to ourselves, can we find happiness in our work environment, in our work situation, if we're living untrue to ourselves? So it shows up in so many different places. And it was curious that I had been thinking about this over the last couple of weeks and had popped into my head, and that's why I wanted to discuss it. And actually, on Friday, my really good friend Aisling Griffin, hi Aisling, if you're watching on the playback, Aisling is a former lecturer in Griffith College, and we had a beautiful day at the graduation celebrations in Griffith College last week. And then the next morning, she had started this beautiful initiative, which is called Walk and Talk, and it's a natural networking gathering in the Phoenix Park, which happens once a month. So she kicked that off on Friday, and I was there with the first group of women. And amazingly, I met the beautiful Brona from Love, Breath and Miracles, that she runs with her partner Matt, and I had attended that as well. Didn't know she was coming along, didn't know those two groups, I didn't know they knew each other, and it was a crossover on, when groups, I suppose, in Facebook. Beautiful. So we walked along the beautiful path in Phoenix Park, which is just so gorgeous. And I had just talked about An Slí, which means the way of the heart. So we were talking about that and walking along this beautiful pathway where we were discussing what each of us do, and in that natural setting, having a gorgeous, networking, session, which was just like friends coming together. And that was actually the word that kept coming up, was commitment. I was hearing it again and again and again. And it was not related to relationships. It was unrelated, it was related to their commitment to themselves and their passion and what they were bringing to the world. And it was really coming to light that it did take a conscious decision to be committed to ourselves. and to our path and to our truth, as I talked about in this description. So it means it's not only when I talk about in the workshop that I run called Who Do You Think You Are? I haven't actually been running them for a while because I've been so busy lecturing, but I do promise I'll start to run them now in January. I have a month off in January and I'll do some lives and I'll do some in-person maybe workshops. That'll be amazing because I really want women to start to dig into this. So when we've gone in through that process and we really get connected in with that core message that's coming from our heart, that's where the first step. And then it takes commitment to stay on that path, because there's many that find that, but do they stay committed to it? And it takes a lot of strength and it takes commitment again to the path itself to stay on that. And to stay on that means that you're unfolding your destiny and you're unfolding those petals where you can become larger and larger in the world and you become more of a leader in the world. We talk about feminine leadership and unfolding the true woman. That's the process. So you're finding, the first part is finding who I am and myself, what's my core message, and then it's making that commitment to ourselves to walk that path. And again, beautifully illustrated in that gorgeous gathering on Friday, where it's made much easier when we walk that path together with other women that are on Shlínchi and on the way of the heart, that are always supporting each other and also committed to their path. And it's a beautiful, beautiful way to live, because when we are on that path, we know that there's no competition there, because every single woman is not only uniquely beautiful, but who brings their unique skills and talents to the world, which are completely unique to that beautiful woman. And that there is no competition when you look at it like that. You can only help and complement each other as you walk along that path together. You really, like a bouquet of flowers, one rose is beautiful on its own and has its place. But when we see a whole bouquet of different flowers coming together, and huge big bouquet, and the most diversity, I suppose, diversity of color and shape and texture, is like an explosion of life into a beautiful bouquet. It always is so astounding to see and to witness and to enjoy. So that is really happens coming from that commitment to ourselves first. Yeah. And from, I know, the gorgeous people and community on Facebook that have talked about, when I was talking about this coming on, have mentioned that, yes, this is maybe an antidote to being a pleaser, because the opposite is true when we're being a pleaser, when we're looking outside of ourselves all the time and we are abandoning ourselves to please other people. So that's not being true to ourselves. And when we have had that pattern before in our lives of having that disease to please all the time, we have to break away from that. And it takes time for that to change. It's hard to take that pattern away instantly. But when we make that really strong, firm commitment with ourselves and to our path and to our truth, which is our unfolding of all our skills and talents, that keeps us solidly grounded in why, we're walking this path because we want to unfold ourselves so we can bring our gifts and talents and our beauty to the world for the greater good. Now, how essential is that in today's world? It is so essential because people are being very worried and stressed out about what's happening in the world today, and we feel helpless and we can feel downtrodden, and we can feel like, oh God, what can I do, and become suffer from apathy, which is I suppose, getting to a stage where you don't care because you feel you can't do anything. The problem is too big. And I would say that actually the problem is never too big when we all work together. And if every single one of us just tapped into our heart and got in touch with ourselves and deepening our understanding of who we are and stayed committed to unfolding that in the world, that's all you have to do. And that's all you ever can do. So it takes that pressure and that stress away from worrying about what's happening in the world to taking that focus of your energy and bringing it into your heart and just knowing that I'm doing my bit by being committed to myself and to my path and to what I came here to do. And all you have to do is just be present with yourself, be present with those around you, to lead with love and to just be yourself in the world and be courageous to unfold who you truly are. Yeah. And what it was gorgeous actually in the conversation on Friday with the women, and actually with Brona, I was sitting across from me and I was talking to a couple of the other women who joined the group that I hadn't actually met before. It's two beautiful illustrators. And I was talking about this. We're talking about Ireland and growing up in Ireland and the restrictions that were around women, during the last, I suppose it's changed, drastically in the last 20, 30 years. But up to then, I mean, hadn't been hugely restrictive and oppressive for women in Ireland. And I was talking about, sometimes women react in two different ways. One is the rebel, and then the other one is the good girl, you know? And talking about those two identities that women have adopted to themselves. One is rejecting everything and society and rejecting the status quo and turning into the rebel. And then the other is becoming a good girl and out of fear and being terrified to do anything that's wrong so that they would be filled with guilt and would be controlled in that kind of way. But both of them is an abandonment of ourselves, the rebel and the good girl. I would say that to try to find the middle way is coming back into our heart and not living from a state of fear, but being committed to living from the state of love in our heart. And what is that going to bring to the world? So that's not being, it can be rebellious in the fact that you are doing something different. You're going against the grain of what you've already done before, but it's not being rebellious in a hateful way, It's not going into the world angry and resentful and, wanting to destroy things because there's unhealed energy and experiences and unprocessed emotions in us. And it's not being terrified and, cowering down to a more dominant personality in our lives, but it's actually coming into our heart and from that warm space, being courageously ourselves in the world and being committed to that. And it was a really interesting conversation because again and again, I get so much more passionate about this all the time because it's like this true woman that is trying to come out into the world and actually, do we know who she is? What does she sound like? What does she look like? And there's a lot of contradicting ideas of what that may be. There's still in society with feminism and looking this very angry woman, and then the passive woman who is to bow down and, be submissive. But is there a middle way, that balanced, what I would say divine feminine, where it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, that we come from a state, place of love, but we're able to move through life and take action in the world in the masculine, where we're able to say what we need to say and we're able to take the action steps to bring the initiatives to the world. We don't sit back and play shy, and we are able to speak up and use our voice, and we're able to stand up for what we believe is important to stand up for, even if it is going to shake the status quo. But it's not from a rebellious place. It's from the heart, and it's truth. It's from your truth. Yeah. So you're committed to that truth, bringing that truth to the world. Yeah. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, because there is a difference there. And I would love to, just for you to think about this as food for thought. How committed are you to the true you? Because the minute we decide to commit to somebody, sometimes our commitment to ourselves, not even to a person, to a partner, but to a family, to children, to a family network, to friends, to our work situation, to everything around us. Women are really amazing at being committed. But how are we with our commitment to ourselves? And I would say that when we really take the time to find out, you know, how is there a resistance even to that commitment to myself? Is there a sense of guilt around that? I would investigate that, and I would look into, is there a blockage there? Is there a reason for you feeling uncomfortable about that? You know, because there might be a guilt around, the conditioning of maybe, I'll be judged for that. But when we think about it, if we're to deepen our understanding of ourselves and to, rather than focusing on our duties and our responsibilities to everybody else, we have a duty and responsibility to ourselves first, because when we become really true to ourselves, we can become so much more powerful in the world to make the world a better place, because we can bring so much more to the world. We can set an example to our children. We can show them a new way. We can introduce them to an Shlínachrí. We can become a leader in our community, in our organization, in our family, and we can model that to the next generation. That is a very, very, very powerful place and position to be in, because that is something that will be passed through the generation and will create a legacy, because people will remember that, because it's very rare. It's rare for people to invest in themselves to find out who they truly are. And you can really change the course of history with that. And we had a beautiful day on Saturday. It was amazing in the college, in Griffith College, for the masters, and it was all about AI. And wow, we were totally blown away about what is going to happen in the future for AI. And again, there was a heated discussion all day around, how is it going to be negative? Is it going to be positive? It was a really amazing discussion with a big group, men and women, and very intelligent, intellectual, well-educated people coming from, lots of different perspectives, but huge hearts, and, really wanting to make a change in the world. And, at the end, I really reminded them that don't forget the power that one person has to change the world. And that one person can be you. Yeah? And one person who is being true to you can change the course of history. So I leave you there with that, and I hope that's been thought-provoking for you this week. And I absolutely love coming on to chat to you each week, and I hope it helps you in just starting to think a little bit deeper than just our normal everyday conversations that we might have around the coffee the coffee machine and work or around the kitchen table. Yeah, I love the time here chatting with you, and it's been beautiful to share my thoughts with you. And it's funny because I just realized again, we're always deepening our knowledge of our self identity and our own, you know, identity development that I talk about. Because at the weekend, I realized after Saturday, this heated discussion about AI and all of us being blown away, I came back so energized and I went, oh my God, I think I might be an extrovert because I actually got so much energy from being with people. And I realized you get very tired when you're studying. I thought, oh wow, that was because you're probably missing being social and around people. So that again, every week I learn something new about myself, and have to take a little break out to have a little bit of socializing in between the studies. I know that next time, so I'll keep my energy going. So this really helps. And after a day of teaching, it's just so lovely to come on and to share this time with you. And I hope that helped. And I want to wish Aisling a fabulous best of luck with her new venture with the walk and talk groups. And looking forward to the next one in January. I love to see my friends blossoming into their true selves. A great example of being committed to yourself and being true to you. And I am really excited about all my friends in my friend group and the women all around me in my field, I suppose, doing some amazing work, studying and masters. And Michelle Gardner just finished her masters as well, and Kim Dunlop just finished her masters too. And it's like we're all, you know, cheering each other on, and that cheerleading is so important. I just want to say thank you to everybody who sends me that cheerleading vibes on Facebook as well, and I'll try to get that sorted so we can go live and I can have some chats with you. And also, I want to announce as well, I will be starting a chat show when I have a little bit more time, and I'm lining up people already that I will have on a Sunday. I'm going to grab a group of the women together, and we're going to have focus groups on some of these topics that I'm covering in these free trainings for you too. And I'm really excited about that. So I have some amazing women that I want you to meet, and I just have the time to do this little pocket on a Tuesday evening because I have committed to myself so much. I have a little time to be able to share at the moment because I have a grand plan of where I'm going with all this. So I need to stay focused and stay on my path, and that is my destiny that I'm unfolding, which will bring so much more to the whole collective. So yeah, lots of fun times ahead, and I'll keep you posted on all of that. And if you're interested in getting involved in one of the chat shows, please DM me and I'll put your name down on the list. So very excited about all of that, and really looking forward to talking to you next week. So I might actually do a little bit more about talking about the rebel versus the good girl next week. Tell a few stories around that, my personal experience of being the rebel and the good girl, and what does she look like, and who's the rebel, what are characteristics of the rebel, and what are the characteristics of the good girl, and how you can spot if you're a good girl or if you're a rebel, and yeah, how do you come back to the middle way and back to the true you. Okay, so that'll be a bit of fun, a bit of crack. Okay, guys, I'll see you next week, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Slán leat. Agus gurb maith agat. Bye. Take care.